Master. Welcome, friends. Please, we are also welcoming Professor Dr. Abhik Bhattacharya. We are privileged to again have him today. And as he had promised that there will be a series of podcast on this issue, and as he is associated with IIT Roorkee, managing the Pearl laboratory, and is working on the renewable energy, and most importantly, he's more now associated with EVs, electric vehicles. So earlier we had done one podcast with him on the introduction of what is EV. It's sort of where it stands right now, the different aspects, technical aspects, as well as the commercial aspects. So those who have not watched that podcast, would request you to please go to our channel. I'll provide the link in the description. You can just visit that, and you will get an idea as to how the continuation is happening. So, Dr. Bhattacharya, welcome back, sir. Nice to
Thank you.
have you back again. And today, as discussed, we would like to take that discussion only forward, in which we would like to have a small discussion on the product development cycle for a
Right.
electric vehicle. So,
Uh,
over to you,
okay.
sir.
Thank you. Actually, I wanted to discuss because yesterday, previous discussions, we have concluded that we should have a discussion how to actually someone can make their career on electric vehicles, and especially how can we can have a startup on electric vehicles. But then I decided to have a let us have a holistic discussions on the product development. That is one of the basic entity of any startup. So one has to understand very well that how we can develop a product. So whether it is an electric vehicle, whether because we all know that what are the actually the flourishing field. Like we used to say that just leave your 14 years boys and girl in a mall and just see that what are the product they pick up. So definitely these are the popular brands. So same way we can once we see that what are the markets that flourishing well, and where the people are putting money based on that, we can see that this kind of sectors will evolve. And
Mhm, mhm.
from that conclusion, we all have accepted that EV is EV is an emerging field, and we can
Right, sir.
invest on it. Huh?
Right,
So
right.
first of all, product development cycle should start with the brainstorming.
Okay.
So first of all, if you want, first of all, we require to convince that we require a product, and we should form a like-minded people to sit together and uh, and and actually have a generate the idea. It can be brainstorming in our group, in research and development. Definitely we do a lot of R&D, and there also we come across few excellent ideas which then brainstorm and we try to make it a product. Then of course this I have not explored personally very well, and of course we require to have a customer feedback.
Mhm,
We require to talk with the people those who are using it. For this reason we require to have a more industry academic interactions
mhm,
with that, so we require to get to know that what we are thinking that this can solve the problem, where they can actually point out that these are the shortcomings and the loopholes that you require to plug in, then
mhm,
our product which we are looking for
mhm.
can be successful. Then definitely the cost benefits and other P&L analysis, etc., etc. Then we require to, and I personally believe that since we are in R&D, and uh, we will be driven by the R&D, not that you know that particular product that already available. We are trying to give the services. If you have an idea, try to patent it. Patenting patenting Indian filing Indian patent is not a uh, very tough job, because
Mhm.
we just get to, like, while starting a company we may take a help of a chartered accountant. Same way we got
Mhm.
a legal professionals who can help us, and it will cost, if we can catch out of the good people little, with little survey. So then just check it that this is your checkpoints, that the idea of screening, where we can
Mhm.
filter the idea. So once you come out and try to patent the idea, that
Okay.
itself will filter out, and you
Okay.
will come across lot of iterations while filing a patent.
Mhm.
Then you will come to know, no, this idea already existed. These people are
Mhm.
working on it. So while you search it, there is a software in the we can have another sessions on the how to file patent, maybe.
Correct. Correct, sir.
Uh,
We can make this a series
so
actually. This is very informative.
once you're like idea screening, just don't do very casually. Idea screening is a very important phase of the product development cycle, and there you see that whether it is patentable or not.
Mhm.
So if it is patentable, definitely it has a potential,
Okay. Right.
right?
Right.
So not necessarily that you require a working prototype to patent it. You can patent an idea also. You can
Mm.
patent with the simulation results.
Okay. Idea can also be patented.
Idea can be also be patented, even with the simulation results you can patent, but you won't get that impact, because
Okay.
once you have a prototype and you go to the industry and show that working prototype, that patent, definitely you will have a more commercial value of that patent,
Correct. Correct. So
right?
after ideation, maybe after ideation,
So after
brainstorming.
once you got an idea, definitely you require to have, you can file a process a patent, and then your any software you can patent. You can have a simulation studies based on that you can patent. So
Mm.
that's not necessarily that you have the working prototype ready for the patenting.
Mm, mm, mm,
So that is totally a misconceptions. Of course, you can file another patent if you are going for the commercializations, because once you know that particular idea, you go for the more specific application and you patent it. Again,
correct.
once you got a working prototype.
Mm, mm.
But your idea itself has got a merit or not, that is definitely that one checkpoint can be the patent.
Definitely means we are actually cross verifying whether this idea is a new one or whether
Because
it is
once
existed or
we
not.
filing question, we require to write lot of things,
Correct. Right. Right. Okay.
and that lawyer definitely cannot help you to write your technical term. Only they will actually, once you write in a technical term, they will put it into the particular format, so that the patent office can understand in a better manner. They want the structures,
In fact, sir, this IPR filing, this patent filing and IPR, which is
right?
related to
We
IPR,
can have a separate
a
discussions
separate
on it.
discussion on that also
So, but
because
I personally want the idea skinning stage. You should try to file a patent.
okay, okay.
Not only just merely discussions and merely data inputs and etc. If you are
Mhm,
in R&D sectors and driven by the
mhm,
R&D
mhm,
and you have a own idea,
mhm.
just try to patent that idea.
Okay, right.
So gradually you develop, then the concept of then you go on, work on it and try to, then once I believe that you have filed a patent, you have worked on it, then you can approach for the seed fund.
Acha.
That's a very difficult in nowadays.
But that can only be done if there is a patenting or it is
Once you
patenting is
have,
optional.
because filing patent, if the lawyer is not very costly, it depends on the kind of lawyer you hire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so 30-40 thousands is the overall cost of the lawyer,
Okay.
and filing patent is only 5,000. But
Mm-hmm.
since we people are doing for the first time, they require to take the help of the lawyer.
Okay. Right.
So once you file couple of patent, then the inventor can itself file a patent. That's not a very
Mm.
big deal.
Mhm.
But definitely they have a good contact with that. Initially, I suggest that people to those who want to have a startup to have their own patents. It doesn't cost much, nowadays. 50,000 generally in a vacation in a I am if you go for our family member decide to spend 3 4 days in Darjeeling, we spend 50,000,
Right, right, definitely. Right. And
right?
this is
We
just an
just
this is a that is an expense. If you're going to Darjeeling, that is an expense, and if you are filing
I
a
know
patent, it's an
Bengalians
investment.
actually travel three areas, three places very commonly. So 50,000 nowadays. So you have to cut short one trip. That's all
That's it.
with your family.
Hmm. And if you are
So
serious enough, so this is an investment, initial investment that
right.
you're putting into. Right.
So once you have filed a patent and you show that you are in a process, then you apply for the seed funds.
Hmm.
That can be another discussion where you can get the seed funds. Many
Hmm.
in India government offers many seed funds
Hmm.
for the startups. Before that, of course, you require to start a company. That's a different issue. Whether you have decided to have a different kind of company, you can start it
So that
with a couple.
depends whether you want to have a
That's a
private
different
or
issue.
LLP
So
or
once
something
you
like that.
got that company registered, GST number, etc., is available. So ask for the seed fund.
Hmm.
It is that is something that like and there people like me, if I say seeds, I have uh, judged around more than hundreds incubations proposals in IIT Roorkee,
Hmm.
mostly by our students and also from the other funding, other area, other also with collaborating with our student.
Hmm.
So there I first want to do that part. So whether you have tried to file a patent, that you have idea. So that part, if they are satisfactory answer, we generally give some seed funds.
Hmm. What normally is the quantum like in
It
seed fund?
depends on the kind of prototype they want to build. Generally, 25 lakh to 30 lakhs we generally give,
Okay. Okay.
depending on the credentials, and if they got the couple of patents, definitely we can
Hmm.
give more.
Hmm.
And we see that who are the mentors, and the documentation, proper literature survey, whether they have pointed out that market survey rightly or not, or
Right.
just come out with that. We don't discourage people, we just say that when I reviewed personally, I tell them that you again come back with this work done
Hmm. 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 You can
after
reapply
maybe
for
two
that.
three months.
Right.
Okay, because we want that it is not that uh, we don't want to reject.
Hmm. Hmm.
It is not that winners take all. We
Hmm.
want
Hmm.
to actually also elevate the systems. I
Correct.
think that this should be the uh, same for other government funding agencies.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, it is same for any sort of in
Like
terms of.
DST incubates, there is an
Uh,
incubation
uh,
cells also. So once we get around that fund, definitely you try to develop the hardware or software, depends on what kind of
mm,
things you are trying to build. Like you can have a, like for example, our discussion will be little bit the EV centric.
mhm,
So like battery management system. Okay, so we want that the every cell's voltage to be monitored very accurately,
mhm,
and then based on that we can have a diagnostics of our batteries and everything.
mhm,
So BMS. So that software we try to, let's say, develop. So that is the software,
mhm,
and definitely you can have a first charging setup, and you can file one patent on VMS, one patent on the first charging setup. That is up to you, because
mm,
I personally want that more specializations will kill, because you should have a little border focused on the
mm,
area.
mm,
So then definitely you try to build a prototype. Building software prototype definitely is easy.
mm.
So
Okay.
even if you are trying to build hardware first charging infrastructures, so have some kind of softwares in it first.
Mm,
Try to build that,
mhm.
because that is the era of AI and all those things. Writing code is your footage. Just you require to understand the physics,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
The so how accurately you can predict an estimate.
Mm,
It is actually BMS. Is not like the amount of charge you send into the battery.
mm,
BMS is just like the amount of the muscles in your body, our body.
mm.
That actually essentially the measurement of the battery's health.
Right, sir.
These are some extent estimation also. You cannot just measure this voltage and tell uh, uh, that is the SOC, and SOC will depend on the temperature, depends on the charging current, many
Mhm,
many issues.
mhm,
So how many features you can add, based on that you can have your BMS system.
mhm,
But if you can take it and try to, and what you require, you just understand. If you know the AI, if you know the energy storage system physics,
mhm,
and if you can understand it, you can write a code on it,
mhm, mhm,
and that can be patented.
mhm.
And of course, parallelly, you can have hardware. The hardware is little bit tricky and costly.
Okay.
So for this reason, for the sustenance, I suggest you should have both,
Mm,
because now everything is embedded. We are living in the days of the uh, embedded system,
correct.
right? So because you don't find any analog circuits is working, because
Mm,
it can be copied. It can be
mm,
we have a microcontrollers or
mhm,
anything that can be replaced by
mm.
FPGA. So that part, some extent, we require to first try to patent the software first, and
That
then
is the source
hardware will
code,
take
so
time,
to say, source code.
right?
Mm,
So then the concept of development and the testing will come. You should have a working prototype.
mhm.
Development and the testing of the software definitely is much much easier than development of the hardware, because hardware is a time consuming. But anyway, ultimately we want an actual system, because no one will buy BMS.
Mm,
You should have a charging system,
correct.
right?
Because if
And
someone is
that is
having
specific
a,
to your charging setup.
yes, right.
So for this, well, you can sell it as a BMS. That's different issue. But if you have a own, you should have. This is all related product. We want that to be there,
Mm,
and then definitely once it can be a parallel activity. Then start with the market people. You require to talk and go to the industry, like which car is coming, what are the actually the features of the battery they are incorporating. Now Mahindra has come out with the car of around 35 lakhs
mm,
electric vehicles. You
mhm,
can see it is standing in the T3 airport.
mhm,
Okay, so you just try to feature out, actually how they are required to purchase the charging infrastructure. As a person, if I buy the car, if I manage to
mhm,
buy the car, then we require to have the charger. What kind of charger will be requiring? Why can't we actually have collaborations with that company, so that
mhm,
because already an existing product, because
Mhm.
once we show that we have a patent, we have these things, we have a working prototype, definitely they can actually because most of the companies want to have a outsource, like
Mhm.
Boeing, doesn't make iota of the thing by of its own. In
Mhm.
you talk about actually the engine of the aeroplane, they are made of Rolls Royce engine,
Mhm.
right? So they have extremely tough conditionalities to be selected to be their vendors. Once if you are their vendors,
Right.
then you are qualified. So try to get those companies, if you and so that is the business analysis, and so accordingly you mold your product and try to
Mhm.
build that.
Mhm.
Then then once you get that feedback, then the product development and the design you complete according to their customization. It is better to be in a B2B model,
Right.
business to business model,
Okay.
because
Okay. Okay. Okay.
then at least your order book, you don't worry much,
Mhm.
and you don't require much people to serve. Okay,
Right.
then the prototype and testing, you do that and you qualify, and then definitely you became the vendor of that particular company and you sell the product to them. So these are the actually definitely the and thereafter the market feedback and all those issues. So this is the steps we require to follow, and
Mhm.
this is the simplest step we require to follow if you want to if you want to launch a product into the market. And by that time, you have to infuse your capitals.
Right.
So of course, I personally want that you should spend your own money little, at least something.
Why do you suggest it?
Otherwise, otherwise, if it is someone's money, it is just like you just you are working like a babysitter.
Which means I
Frankly,
do not have a stake into it.
I don't have feelings because
Yes.
my money is not there.
Right.
So I always ask, do you want to put the money of your own little bit, so that commitment grows.
Yes.
If you are not putting your any money of yours in
Mhm.
that concept, it means that you have a doubt in your mind that I won't be successful.
Correct. Very rightly said, sir. Very rightly said. So I do not have a buy-in into my idea only. That is the
Because
reason I'm saying everything.
if some restaurant owner doesn't eat his own food, I have a strong doubt of quality of the food of the restaurant's mix.
Right. In fact, we have heard, like, in culture, I don't know whether it is right or wrong. I mean, if you go to a person, if the food is served, the owner first tastes it in front of the guest to say that it is okay in terms of taste and quality. So then the guest actually takes, which is just opposite in our case. So just to have an idea, whatever we have discussed, if you have if you can just have a sum up to it. So the idea comes in, brainstorming happens, there is a patenting done to cross verify first stage whether that idea is a nascent idea, or it is a idea which is not been in the field right away. And then obviously then we can go for the seed capital applications, getting some capital to develop the prototype. So within the prototype, we would be having a software part and a hardware part, and they have their own nuances. So once you are developing based on the market feedback or the research that has happened earlier, and the seed capital that you get, you have a proportion and put in your some funding to develop the prototype, both the software as well as the hardware. And then obviously you have to run a testing on that. The testing happens
Right.
whether the systems are okay or not, whether the conjugations have happened or not, whether the system is responding to whatever command is given to it, etc., etc. And the obviously there will be hardware part, there will be issues related to unification of different working parts and all those stuff, and then you have a product which is a prototype,
Right.
and that prototype is taken, it's we can call it a go to market
And
sort of a
prototype
concept.
has to be qualified to the your prospective vendors. I
Right.
personally want first go to the B2B model.
Hmm.
So there, definitely the success rate can be higher because you there will be technical people. You can
Hmm.
deal with the technical people better with your product, but because once you go to the market B2C, the
Hmm.
consumer idiosyncrasy has to be tolerated.
Correct. Correct.
So
And
that's something
obviously,
may not be a good idea initially. So for these reasons, I personally request to find it out B2B model.
correct. In fact, it would be better also. What I understand from the discussion is that it's a cycle. So continuous development has to be coming into, like, it's working in an ecosystem. So the system has to put in lot of feedback to that cycle, so that after all,
Like
when we are.
software,
Mhm.
you make it a BMS every 6 months. You should have a new BMS.
Right. Right.
Huh? Right, so for you have to you will find out that some features has not been incorporated,
Hmm.
so you will update it,
Hmm.
and that is that a continuous process,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that requires a delta change, and in that way you can earn your revenues also because in every update,
Right.
because hardware changes uh, is not very much we cannot do because it require lot of iteration, lot of
Hmm.
cycling,
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
design. So for these reasons, they maybe once in 2 3 years you will come out with the hardware, but
Hmm.
every 6 months you can come out with the new software,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's the that I think that we should discuss also
Hmm.
how does product development differs for the software and hardware,
Hmm. Correct.
right? So
Right.
that is something that first of all, that as I mentioned, that iteration speed, uh, in case of the software is extremely fast because
Hmm.
you can those who are IT companies, they know there is a bit different kind of testing procedure also. So you should have a very fast iterative changes because you find it out that some glitches is there or something has not been incorporated in your previous version, so you just come out with that updates.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so always it is better to have a software solution than the hardware solutions. You can definitely have hardware solutions, but a software solution is much cheaper.
Must be.
Then the cost of the change is very low. That is
Hmm. Hmm.
also very important.
Hmm.
If you want to have any product change,
Hmm.
try to see that whether it can be done by the software itself.
Right. Right. Just
Right.
just it can be done some by patches development or something like that, or the upgradation of
Like
the
for the
software.
examples, actually, let's say inverter.
Hmm.
Inverter converts DC to AC.
Hmm.
So you can have a topology that is hardware.
Hmm.
So these are made of the real switches,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So that changes takes a lot of time, cost, everything. But the control technique can be changed,
Hmm.
huh? So that it performance can be improved.
Right, sir. Actually, we have come nearly end of our time, and I think we did a discussion which is more intriguing in terms of the stages that we discussed. But fundamentally, more discussions and series, this has to continue, and I would request you to give us some more time whenever possible, so that we are able to take it as a
Right.
series.
We can talk once we are comfortable again. So
Yeah.
I wanted to discuss about the software, hardware, and the iteration and all those things. Then they uh, then thereafter definitely are a few other issues, so that uh, uh, those who want to have a startup,
Hmm.
uh,
We can continue, sir. Not an
they
issue.
can. And I suggest another thing that my colleague, of IIT Roorkee, he has made an elaborate NPTEL lectures on the product development cycles.
Hmm.
They can refer to that
Hmm.
lectures, so
Right.
that will definitely help to if someone is working on it.
Hmm.
But that is mostly oriented to little bit of hardware side.
Right.
So that's what I wanted to say today, and
Hmm.
we'll continue our discussions on the product development cycles, because that itself is a very big concept. And
Hmm.
once we done that, then I will touch up a little bit of how to file patents,
Okay.
and
Okay.
from any idea you can file a patent.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I personally want that, I as a evaluator of the many proposals, I
Hmm.
just wanted to see that, I asked that, are you comfortable to file the patent?
Hmm.
So can you come out after 2 months after filing a patent? That was my favorite questions. Anyway,
So,
thank you
so
for your time, and I hope that it will enlighten or brighten mind who wanted to have a, instead of the searching for the job, wanted to be entrepreneurs and a job giver.
yeah, in fact, that has been the whole some kind of idea that we are trying to focus on. Like we are working something on alternative career options, something like that. So being a, you can be in a true sense, you can entrepreneur, you can be a technocrat, and then you can have your own ideas. So all these sectors, which are the upcoming sectors, specifically that you're talking of, the EVs, and the different nuances, different subfields that this sector offers. There are a lot of entrepreneurship values are there which we can unlock. So maybe someone who has an idea may not be knowing the different stages as to how to take it forward. So maybe this sort of a discussion, deliberation provides them a platform and a stimulus to think, okay, this is doable, and these are the 1, 2, 3, 4 steps that I need to follow. And we have a, in terms of we have esteemed guides like you, Dr. Bhattacharya, so who would be delighted to assist them in terms of these endeavors, not only in different aspects but obviously referring to other domains also. So it is not an unknown, maybe an unknown territory for the first timer, but you are there, and people like you who would be really in a position to assist such kind of development cycles, assist them, guide them. And that's certainly the whole idea, that whatever you think, it is, it is not impossible, because the impossible terms itself says I am possible. So we should not be left out in terms of hunting for avenues, because avenues are there. There are torch bearers. Only thing is you need to have confidence in yourself and a bit of idea that can be developed. So we are actually just providing that platform, and as much as possible in different domains. And that has been our sort of idea, that we have
Uh,
started this podcast series, etc.
I just want single thing to share. Also
Yeah,
share my email ID, my
I will.
official email ID. If
I will.
someone wanted me to write, if I
Definitely.
have a queries,
Hmm.
I'll be happy to answer their queries. Those who wanted to have a startup, seriously thinking to have a startup.
Definitely, sir. Definitely. We will just, provide that email. It will be there on the screen as well as on the description also.
Sure.
And if anybody wants, they can just refer to that email ID along with our email ID. If something comes to us, we will forward it to you. And obviously, if there is a direct communication, you can take it forward. But we also would like to have certain, as we identified, there are certain areas in which we need to take it forward, like more discussion on this product life cycle. Maybe the BMS part, the software and hardware, can be more elaborated in our next
Right.
session.
in our next discussions, we'll take up
Mhm,
one examples of the electric vehicle, where I
mhm,
believe that there is a huge potentials for the product development.
mhm,
We'll take that
mhm,
example and try to explain in detail,
mhm, mhm.
how you can incorporate with a specific example.
Correct, correct, sir. Correct, sir. And whatever we have identified, let us take it forward. Like in terms of most importantly, I was coming across different articles in which the IPR filing process, the checking process, or the whole ecosystem of the IPR things are more managed in
Okay.
India right now, globally. And there are different career options. More importantly, for engineers who had already done some work and experience, they can have an alternate career in this sort of a field, which we can also discuss in future. And most importantly, sir, the seed funding, because we want to know more which are the ways in which we can apply for a seed funding.
In next sessions, we can
Hmm.
also give a slide, share a slides that
Correct.
where, like in any government organizations or even now private also, has one
Hmm.
incubation cells that is almost mandatory. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
like someone, like if you have any friend in IIT Roorkee, if you are a student of the IIT Roorkee, you are welcome. So
Hmm.
to write to us in twice in a
Hmm.
year, we give a fund. Just follow our website of the incubation cells, and
Hmm.
if you are outsided, then outsider, then definitely we require some members should be alumni or our student to be there. And of course,
Okay.
that there is a lot of advertisement from the DST and other funding agency to
Hmm.
give the startup funds. And another
Hmm.
aspect that a startup fund is to build a topology, build the topology, working topology for the hardware and maybe whatever maybe or software. Then once you approach to the business analysis, then you can also approach to the venture capitalists.
Right. Right. Right.
Okay, so
Hmm.
and there also, the incubation cells, we have a huge list of the venture capitalists
Hmm.
in our. We have a because you are not the first time you are starting a startup, right? Someone.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
there's a
Hmm.
100 companies before that actually
Hmm.
undergone that. So we can
Hmm.
and we can find it out what kind of company actually, what kind of venture capitalist supports what kind of product.
Right.
So that once you start the business analysis, then you start actually approaching the uh, venture capitalists.
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
you can, of course, if you are comfortable, you can take the bank loan also
Hmm.
with a
Hmm.
moratorium.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's not a issue. So venture capitalist, one of the problem of the venture capitalist that they will take control of your company financially.
Definitely. Huh. Uh-huh.
So, but if you take a bank loan, definitely bank doesn't take control of your company, but they definitely charge the interest.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whether you dilute your equity or you take your these are all then next here actually finance comes into the picture once you start the business analysis and etc.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you require someone in your team should know
Hmm.
the finance very well.
Yes. I mean, this is how, once that is there, you need to have
Right. So
the
most
entire
of
cash
them, I
flow.
assume that they're engineers. So, and by that time, once you come to the actually stage four, business analysis,
Hmm.
not only marketing but also the finance.
Correct.
So these are something that you require to know very well
Right.
because because the prototype development will take couple of years.
Hmm. Hmm.
So once you are ready, and that can be by the seed funding.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So then definitely once you go to these companies for the for the discussions that we have this kind of product and all those things, and around another 2 years you require to have a sustenance.
Right.
You can take around 5 years of the incubation.
Hmm. Right, sir.
So there actually, so how can you manage that fund? That is very important in that time. We require to keep your activity alive. You require to, because product development, one will go to the industry. By that time, two three product will be in the pipeline. It is not that you are sitting with a single product.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it
Right,
is
sir.
whether you develop with a single company or three companies, that is your decisions. Okay,
Right.
that's different issue. I'm not going to that nitty-gritties. So because, but uh, but that is the way actually the forward. I think that if you can sustain 5 years and make it a market, then definitely and by 5 years, if your value of the company has grown by 5 times, you're okay. You're surviving
Mm-hmm.
most likely.
Right, sir.
Like
Right.
25 lakhs, maybe the actually seed funds you got it, you put it 5 lakhs. That is 30 lakhs is your company's capital. After
Mm-hmm.
5 years, if you can make that company worth the 1.5 crore, okay.
That is what the value addition is all
That's
about.
what
And
we. That's what you want to do, and
yes.
I can tell you, by means of anything,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot make this amount of money. If you can and that can be done by sheer honesty and by your competence.
Correct. Correct, sir.
That is the biggest satisfactions.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, sir. That
And
is how
an
we are working
antisocial
for
can
ourselves.
make that money by extortion, but no, you can make that money by yourself, by honestly, and also
Right. So it's one of the ways. Not, I won't say that it is the only way, but it is one of the best way right now to ideate and to have our own sort of a ecosystem in which we are the trendsetters. We do what the others may follow later with an increment, obviously. So idea has to be there, and anything and everything whichever is there in the ecosystem, it has to go through this product life cycle that we just discussed. So everything falls into places, every feedback comes into the system, and the idea evolves, which can be then commercialized through prototypes and the other things that we have. But obviously there are very much in-depth analysis are required. Like one part that we would also like to highlight is the business plans that one has to keep in mind, wherein the product as well as the market has to coexist. We cannot bring in a product ahead of the market requirement, so that also has to kept in mind. People has to have those ideas, and the timing has to be correct for the product to be there in the market. So everything has to fall in place, and these are all tools are available to ideate. All tools are available to measure the market sentiments, etc. And obviously then comes the financial parts, which is how to get finances, how to put in money, what will be my revenue plans, how to sustain my operations commercially, etc., etc. So everything we can cover, sir, not an issue. In fact, the best thing that you said, your colleague is working, and that also can be a link on that can also be shared through our podcast, and people can just visit that if required, and may inquire more about on your email, if that is something which excites our viewers or our friends, whosoever is watching this podcast. So it was wonderful, sir, talking to you again. And every time we meet, I personally learn a lot from you. It feels a lot of
no,
positive energy.
uh, thanks, you are giving a platform to share my experiences. If someone been helped by my experiences, I am grateful to Almighty. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.